this is Vidhi Beri, your health transformation coach. Welcome to day 5 of re-engineering your health. I would all request you all to make sure that you like and follow the page and share it on your timeline today. So today is a very interesting topic. Our topic for the day is going to be alkaline foods tested on your body. And I'm going to give you the tools to test it, and I'm also going to give you the palette of how to paint it, meaning your nutrition and how to experiment it on your body. So first, the tool that I'm going to give you is a practical tool. This practical tool is all you need is you and one other person, anyone in your family, to test it out. One person in your family and you. And the more developed and intuitive you get about this, you're going to be able to test it on yourself very, very easily. So the way to go about this is very, very simple. You need someone to test food on you. Believe it or not, you can actually test food on you. And the way you can test food on you is just by putting it somewhere close in your energy center. What do I mean by your energy center? Now this is all getting very esoteric. So your body, just like it has different organs that are sensory, you also have layers of energy outside yourself which can start sensing the closer it comes to your body whether a food is going to suit you or not. How might the food do that? We are going to see that today. We are going to learn you or doesn't, because you know what suits you. And when you know what suits you, you absolutely will keep experimenting with your body day and night, figuring out what time of day which food worked for you. So today I have a volunteer with me who's going to help me do this in this hour of lockdown and really illustrate to you what you need to be doing at home. And once we have this tool that we are equipped with, I'm going to teach you, each one of you, that you can use it differently for different gadgets and food in your life. Now, what am I going to make this volunteer do? I'm actually going to, like I said, test the foods on their energy field, their body energy field, and it is going to have an impact on their strength. Our starting point today was alkaline, right? We want to find out, like we talked in the first session, what is alkaline food and how does it affect your body and make your pH balance right. So to make your pH balance right, you need to discover what is alkaline at the right time of day for your body. And in order to do this, you will have to test it on yourself. But today I'm going to get my volunteer and do a demo to show you how it affects your ability to be alkaline, how it affects your strength. So I'm going to invite my volunteer now, and we are going to see a few things. Now I have a few testing foods. So I have my volunteer here, as you can see, and I'm just going to test the food in her energy space, somewhere between her neck and her back. This is where I'm going to test the food. And the foods I have, she knows the foods, but she doesn't know which order I'm going to show it in. So one is honey, the other is an apple, then we have a lemon, and we also have a piece of cake, chocolate cake. So we have all of these foods, and she doesn't know which order I'm going to test this in. What I'm going to do is simply, I'm asking her to make a fist now and tighten that fist and absolutely resist me to first check her strength. If her strength is good enough over here and how strong that strength is without me testing any food. So I'm going to ask you to resist, hold tight and hold strong, and I'm going to pull your hand, resist me. Just resist me. So can you see the resistance? It's quite strong, not moving a whole lot. I'm applying a little more pressure to test, moving a little bit. So that's where her natural resistance is. Okay, take 2 seconds to breathe. I'm going to test the first food now. You all can see what that is. She absolutely cannot see what that is. So we already saw this. I'm not going to name it yet. So now I place this in her energy field. This is the first food we are placing. Now get ready to resist me again. And same resistance, no difference. Yeah? Can you see that? No difference. The resistance is what it was right from the beginning. Now I'm going to show the next food. Let's see what happens here. I think you all can predict what might happen, but let's see it to believe it, whether it actually works based on our logic. Yeah? So I'm placing this again in the energy field, and again resist me. Are you sure you're resisting me? Use all your strength to resist me. Can you see what's happening here? Try to resist me. Are you letting go, or this is naturally happening? Can you believe that? Okay, now the next one. So we will let out the secret. We don't want our volunteer to know what we're doing yet. So this is the next one. And I place this again in the energy field right here. Now this will possibly have interesting results because we are all thinking that this is a certain kind of food. Resist me again now. Not as strong as the first, not as loose as the second, but can you see? I can move it a little bit, but it snaps back. So different variants, different interesting observations. And finally, if you can see, this is the final food I'm trying out here. So again in the energy field, I'm sure some of you have seen this experiment before, and it's always different with every individual we try it with. So resist me, final resistance, final food. Wow, you got strong again. You feel it? You feel the strength again? Actually, this is making her stronger than even her natural resistance. Great. Thank you so much for being a sport. So, we saw 4 different foods today. Just to recap what they were. Thank you so much to my volunteers today for helping us out with this experiment. Now let's demystify what we just did. We did an experiment on someone's energy field to see whether we can actually test externally whether the body has a sensibility about what's going on and what's good for it. Yeah, this is a challenge for all of you. It's a tool, it's an apparatus, but it's also a challenge. Now, how do we do this and what does it mean? Let's start decoding this. Yeah. How are we going to start decoding this? And I absolutely am grateful that I have a family who is cooperative enough to volunteer today to do this experiment for all of you. We tested a piece of cake, an apple, a lemon, and honey. We tested it past 10 p.m. at a time when you're not supposed to eat anything at all. What were the 2 foods that she could resist? One was the lemon, you all saw that clearly, and the other was the honey. These were the 2 foods that she held her strength with. And that means that her hand didn't move, she stayed strong, her resistance stayed strong, I couldn't sway her. You can take this metaphorically, you can take it physically. Her strength was there, meaning these are the foods that strengthen her, keep her strength where she is. They are the right alkaline foods for her. Okay, and the honey actually made her equally strong as she was, but the lemon made her even stronger, meaning that it is actually even more alkaline than her normal pH levels. It will increase her alkalinity and is the best for her when she is getting acidic. Again, coming back, a quick recap of acid alkaline balance, which I touched on in our first session. First session we talked about fats and neutral pH. We're talking today about acid alkaline, the other extremes, and you want to bring it to the middle. Most times we are eating foods high in acidic pH levels, like most grains. Most grains are acidic. We mentioned the glutinous ones yesterday, more than acidic, really into the negative acidity zones, and the rest of the millets slightly more pH balanced. So now we're talking about how to increase the alkalinity through lemon in my volunteer's case. The honey kept it stable. The apple past 10 p.m. was actually making her slightly weaker. Slightly. The hand didn't sway like it swayed for the chocolate cake, but it did sway just a little bit. This, if you think was fudged, is something you're going to have to try out and experiment for yourself. Having said that, you need to be aware that you're going to get different results. So be aware that you can actually be very confused. Very confused going forward. And how will this confusion come? This confusion will come because from morning to evening, the foods that work for you will absolutely change. How will they change? We always say fruits are alkaline in the morning, they are pre-digested in nature, and you absolutely need to have them first thing. These are the principles of Ayurveda. Yeah? But by evening, the same foods can become acidic, not only because of their natural nature, but also because of what your system's gone through all day. You've been eating cereals, you've been eating a whole lot of food, and by that time, your body is like a pressure cooker on high heat trying to digest everything. Imagine putting a fruit in there. What is it going to do? The sugar, the fiber, everything is like in a high charcoal environment, and it is going to turn into charcoal more than anything. And that's going to cause you a whole lot of acidity and bloating, like we spoke yesterday, and many other issues. But not going into that, simply here, what was the physical result? The physical result was that even the apple past 10 p.m. is not healthy food for her. Is it possible that for one of you it might be? Yes. So the test for this is that every family of 10 to 15 people, so I'm talking slightly extended family, test this out in your building, or if you live in a joint family, or if you have close neighbors. Between the 10 of you, there will be one of you who will have a robust digestion system. Some may be aware and some of you will be surprised. This one person will not have a hand moving at all. Will not have a hand moving at all. So I test all 4 foods on such a person. The strength stays the same. Nothing moves. And there will be one person who will probably have the strength only with the lemon and nothing else. The hand will sway with everything else. Everything causes acidity in their body. So we have people who have robust digestion. We have people who have weaker digestion. And that's the fact of life. And you need to use this tool to become aware. How else do we use this tool? To see and actually ask, have the intention before you do the test, that please guide me. My mindset should be, let's find the best alkaline foods for my diet right now, because I want immunity, I want a disease-free body. So this is the tool that you can practically use every single day, and honestly you will find that the answers are different. Some people say, tea and coffee works for me beautifully because my hand absolutely stayed strong at that time. You do realize that in your intention, your subconscious mind is also there. It's not purely physiological. So if you're hugely attached to it and you have started to believe that you're going to get a headache, you are going to get a headache, and your body is going to believe that the tea is very, very good for you, however many spoons of sugar you put in there. So there is that trick, that intention has to be clear, you have to be objective, and a preconditioned mind, knowing what's coming in at the back, is not the ideal way to test it. So it has to be a surprise. You have to get 4 or 5 foods, and the person who is doing it for you has to keep it as a surprise. That's the way you would use this tool. And for the next 3 days, now I'm going to tell you what I think is a good alkaline disease-free diet for you. A basic template, and I'm going to color that template a little bit with yummy foods because you're all at home and you want to enjoy it. And I give you a hint to use the lemon to alkalize anything that is not working for you. Now, once you use this diet and use the 3-day meals that I give you, test within your family physically based on reactions that they all have, and also by using the tool, what worked for which family member, including children. So we will find from the child to the middle-aged to the elderly that the reactions will be different and they will be unpredictable. You may sometimes predict that a growing 10-year-old has a robust digestive system. Maybe not true, and an 80-year-old may have a very robust digestion system. So these are things that you will discover. Do it as a challenge, do it as an experiment. Now, what are you going to do it on? The template I'm giving you. Of course, you can do it on all your fruits, vegetables, different foods, and I'm sure people will do it to convince each other or convince each other out of eating things. That's also going to happen. Have fun with it. But the ideal diet that I would say works for 90% people in terms of structure is starting with the first food in the first session I mentioned, your morning with a spoon of fat, of course warm water before, after, then going on to your platter of fruits, anything between 2 to 3 full fruits. Post that, it would either be a nice millet based cereal meal or a protein meal, depending again based on age and metabolic requirements. Your lunchtime would be a piece of protein, at least 2 to 3 portions of vegetables, maybe a carbohydrate, again depending on age and gender. And evening snacks, question mark, based on have it. And dinner, again, a protein with 2 portions of vegetables. Some people do need a cereal grain carbohydrate, some don't. Now I give you a very blank template, right? Very boring, no colors in it. Now let's put some colors in it for the next 3 days. And this is what I propose you do for people who really want to have yummy things at least 2 times a day and feel mentally and taste bud fulfilled. Yeah, so the first day, let's make it Italian. What can I do from morning till evening? Yes, your fats don't change, your fruits will be seasonal. So that has no Italian basis there. You keep your fat and your fruits the same based on what's available and pick any 2 or 3. After that, we can actually do continental pancakes. So the pancakes can be sweet with a banana or raisins in it, or they can be savory crepe-like with mushrooms in them, or any of the vegetables. I recommend a potato-based lasagna. So lunchtime would be a potato-based lasagna with vegetables. Potato-based lasagna with vegetables can absolutely incorporate cheese, many of the vegetables that we've talked about previously, including yams, and you would have layers with mushrooms, maybe a little aubergine, and you can absolutely make a homemade light white sauce in that. So I'm giving you all the tasty stuff. We're not putting too much grain. You do have the option of making a little bit of noodle with it on the side to enjoy this, a little penne pasta. Now this penne pasta I leave up to you, but yes, it would be ideal if you can get a mixed millet flour penne pasta, which is easily available now. So that's your lunch. And then going on to dinner, I am not really touching on snacks yet because snacks is a very individual requirement. Nuts is always ideal unless you have an allergy in the evening with a cup of herbal tea. Dinner can actually be a potato mashed with a minestrone soup, and you can have an asparagus risotto. So see, I've given you a lot of food, a lot of tasty food, and yes, if you have sugar levels that you need to watch out for, either take out the risotto or take out the potatoes. Now I think I've equipped you enough to think alternate, means think maybe I can do a brown rice instead of a white rice, maybe I can add a little bit of bottle gourd in the mix of the white sauce, so I can do a whole lot, add a little nuts rather than making it super cheesy and a lot of milk. Yeah, so I can tone down all of those things. And I need to make you aware of one thing. I didn't add pieces of bread. We're used to continental and Italian with pieces of bread with everything. We don't need that extra piece of bread. We don't need that bread basket sitting in front of us. That is waiting comfort food. It's adding extra and you're full by the end. You've eaten 3 slices with a lot of margarine and you're done. You can't even enjoy the food. So enjoy the flavors. I'm giving you the tomatoes in the minestrone. I'm giving you a little bit of the macaroni in that. You're also having a potato mashed. You can also have a side sauteed garlic vegetables with that. So this is a whole day of Italian, and I think it is mentally and physically fulfilling. Now if you top this up a little bit more, then you're going into excess. The portion control has to be there, and this has to be colorful within itself without overindulging. Just enough for your taste buds and your senses and your visuals. The next day, I propose you get into a North Indian cuisine. Now, North Indian cuisine, usually after your fruits, would start with a stuffed paratha. So ideally a gobi ka paratha, maybe you can put a little bit of aloo if you're using jowar atta, ragi atta, so that gives you consistency, and you will actually have to use nut powders to get the natural oils. What do I mean? Use a spoon of almond powder, use a spoon of yam or a mashed potato, just a little bit to bind the flours, because you otherwise will not be able to roll them out like you roll regular whole wheat atta. But the taste is just going to be 2% different, not drastically. Okay, so you're starting with a gobi ka paratha in the morning and hopefully a little bit of raita or a yogurt, any yogurt based dish, 1 small cup. And when you get to lunch, I would say enjoy yourself with a dal tadka or a dal makhani. Yes, it needs to be tempered, but you will not put 5 spoons of ghee. You will not put extra loads of makhan or butter, and you will make sure that you have some amount of sirka. Now this is a very colloquial term, but what do I mean by sirka is the vinegar with the small little onions. They absolutely are a probiotic with this kind of food. And remember to add the lemons here, because you have to cut out the excess fat that you added in the dal makhani. Now with the dal makhani, I would propose have a little bit of jeera rice rather than going for the naans, because we are again staying non-glutinous here. We are enjoying ourselves, but we're not really going to get into excessive zones of acidity and sluggishness. So watch out for those pointers. And what is going to go with this? You're going to actually have a nice platter of chatpata grilled Indianized veggies with garam masala and chaat masala in it. But a whole platter of veggies. So you've got your dal makhani, a whole platter of veggies and a little bit of jeera rice, and you've had your yogurt in the morning. I think you'll be full with this, and it's more than enough food for the afternoon. If you can also do a cut simple salad with it, that would be great. And a little bit of nimbu achar and a little bit of chutney is great. Chutney is usually coriander and mint based, and they're usually amazing. The chutneys are homemade for all of us, and I think all of us must be stocking it at home. Then coming to our dinner. The dinner should be again fulfilling, but a little bit lighter. When I say a little bit lighter, you don't want to repeat your dal and your dal makhani at night. But you can have a small portion of potatoes if you like. Now, if you like potatoes, have small potatoes, Indian cooked. Just be aware to cook it first in water and then add the oil, rather than completely chopping it and saturating it in oil, because potatoes love to swell up and they drink everything they see. So remember that. And if you want to be a little experiment, you can make the potato frittatas with yams and potatoes mixed with a little grated vegetable there. What else can we do? We will do a tomato shorba or an Indianized tomato soup with it. And we can now cook up a nice vegetable or a paneer tikka. This is the time to do grills. If you're doing North Indian, the night time is grills. So paneer tikka with grilled vegetables, which have a little bit of what we call in India gram flour or besan coating, and a little bit of yogurt in that. So that's all super tasty through the day. You add bell peppers, onions, all of that to it. Now, you will really enjoy this meal as long as you have your yogurt in the morning, you have the lemons in the afternoon and in the evening, and you make sure you have the vinegar with the onions. If you have an average to robust digestion system, you should be okay with this. If you have below the average to very, very weak digestion, you will possibly face some discomfort with this. But it is still within the range of how I described. I want your fruits, I want your proteins, I want your little bit of cereal, and then a whole lot of taste with it. Fulfilling, tick marking all the boxes. And then the third day, we will get into Oriental. So these are the three that I find that people really like to eat, can make at home easily. And the Oriental could be a mix of Chinese and Thai with all the good fats in that. That means you're using your little bit of vinegar. Some people do like to use the Japanese or Chinese soya sauces. I would say be aware of the monosodium glutamate in that, and then use any sauces that you do. 1 spoon here and there isn't going to be path breaking once in a while, but you would start your morning. Now here you'll have to get a little more creative and experimental, because an Oriental breakfast is not something that's common. I recently had fantastic dim sums and absolutely didn't discover right till the end that it was made out of jackfruit flour. You really want to be someone who's out there cooking and experimenting in your kitchen, make the dim sums with a different flour, definitely not refined. You can always mix that 1 teaspoon, that's a different thing, but use any kind of flour that will help you stick, and fill the dim sums up with a whole lot of Oriental vegetables. It can be a simple mushroom one, it can be an asparagus one, it could be a combination of tofu and broccoli. And you will add the sauces, and you'll add the sweet chili sauces to go with it, and that becomes your breakfast. Eggs are also an option in the morning. This again is after your fat and your fruits, those stay the same. Your lunch, like I said, you need a protein, you need a little bit of grain, and rice noodles, ramen noodles go beautifully with Oriental food, and you have the option of having an egg fried rice. So that's where your carbohydrate portion comes with the protein. You're going to do a white garlic sauce vegetable, and that vegetable can be simply black mushroom and baby corn. And along with that, to fulfill your senses and your taste buds, if you keep your rice portion with lots of vegetable and eggs, you can actually do a chili honey potato, you know, like the one you have in the restaurant, but you will be a little mindful of steaming it first and then adding the oil to cook it so that the oil is absorbed right at the end. So a whole lot of stuff that you can do which is familiar, gives you a restaurant feel. Hold your hands on the corn flour before you reach for it, because you can cook all of this, make it consistent, and you don't have to get the exact 100% taste of that restaurant, because you do know at the back of your head that what you're eating there is super unhealthy. So we can recreate it with a little bit of a twist, a novelty, and keeping the comfort there. Now moving on to dinner, I would say stick to what I really like is tofu, mushroom, udon noodles with any kind of Japanese wine sauces. You can do it with simply a little bit of homemade soya, and you would do a sauteed edamame with it. Now there is some of this that's available easily right now, some of it isn't, and this is zone specific, so be mindful depending on which country area you live in. So a lot of it is available to some of you, and some of you everything won't be. So we will tweak it based on that. So you will remember the concept of keeping the proteins there, keeping the veggies there, keeping the fats there, and a little bit of the carbohydrate. That's why we went with the tofu, black mushroom, udon noodle soup, edamame, and now you can do a slight black bean sauce vegetable. But at this point, if you need the rice with it, I would say keep it for lunch. So you've got a whole menu prepared for 3 days. And in this menu, you have to, now that you are filling your palette with all these colors and painting it, before you paint the canvas, start testing yourself. So that's the challenge here. And you test afterwards also, and the real test is actually in your body, which will start saying that this works for me, this doesn't work for me, I don't know what's going on, I don't feel so good. So there will be that person who will be completely satiated in your family, will have no negative effects to this food, and there will be that one person in that 15 who might be miserable with all this food. But the majority of you will be in the average zone of feeling fulfilled, not having too many symptoms. Whatever you have as lifestyle issues already, some of them will crop up here and there, but you're going to be mostly happy with what I have proposed. So I say try it out, be experimental, see what's available, and then write to me on what you think we can do to tweak the diet ideas I gave for the 3 days. And these 3 days they are your cooking days. This is where you go into the kitchen, at least 2 of you in your family, and go all out to experiment with recipes, all out to experiment with different ways of cooking within those cuisine instructions, and also all out on making sure that everyone is being tested. So take everyone with the food. In fact, right now I showed you raw foods. What you need to do is actually do it with the dish itself. Take that dish of ramen, take that dish of udon noodles, take that dish of dim sums, put it behind each person and test it. Maybe keep some on the side locked away, and all of the locked away food after the meal comes and tests, and you keep that one person in the family makes a note of it. It's just a 3-day exercise. Do it for your family, because more than me or any other person working on nutrition, you have the keys to unlocking what your family requirements are in terms of diets and what works for them and doesn't. And this is your 3-day easy fix to figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and also time of day. Be mindful that what you made in the morning may not work in the evening, and if it's not fresh food, the staleness of it itself makes it undigestible for many people. We do know that we shouldn't eat stale food, but some people, like I said, can digest any kind of food, and some people absolutely will not be okay with the stale food. So make sure that you do the food resistance challenge in this quarantine. Chill, eat all of this food, have the comfort of yummy Oriental, yummy North Indian and Italian continental, but become aware, share your results with me, ask me the questions that come up, and as you come up with these questions, share them on fomonomore, share them into my inbox, and we'll take them up and answer them. Now before I end, I wanted to take up a few questions from yesterday about going gluten-free and how to incorporate it in our regular diet. It was about using millets. Quick notes on how to incorporate it, especially if you're a roti eating household. People were asking me, how do I do stuffed parathas and it doesn't stick? you're going to actually have to use your hands rather than a rolling pin. You're going to have to use, like I said, sweet potatoes, yams, a little bit of mashed potato. Besan is a really good one there. Almond flour, 1 or 2 spoons. So keep all of these ready in jars. Now that you're switching over, keep small amounts ready in jars. They don't spoil for 7 to 10 days. We have amazing weather everywhere in the world right now, as you can see. Everything stays, nothing goes really stale fast, and you can use all of this to make your millet flours, make your millet attas, make chillas, a lot of home-based pancake like food, roti like food, bread like food with millets. So these are fillers and they're easy ways to cook, and maybe rolling pins don't work, so we'll have to use what we call cellophane and your hands to make it stick and stay. So I hope that answers a lot of your questions when it comes to how do I really incorporate it into my especially Indian diet, and that's how you would do it. I've been doing it for years now. It's a journey in the first step, just like you're going to be after this session when you try the next 3-day challenge for making these 3 different cuisines and testing it as a quarantine challenge on all of your family's body. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please make sure you like the page and share this session as your story. And tomorrow I'm going to join you on something that everyone wants to know about, and that's weight management with proteins. So make sure that you turn on your notifications to receive all the alerts from fomonomore, because we are going to have a wonderful journey going ahead with a lot of exciting topics like tomorrow's topic on weight management and protein. So I'll see you all tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Bye. Good night.